So for me, Australia and New Zealand are so exotic. They're on the other side of the world. And I have a hard time wrapping my head around this amazing place. But from all the movies and from family and friends that have been over there, it sounds incredible. But there is a lot that I don't know. Like, how long would it take from, say, Sydney or Auckland to get to Tokyo or Hong Kong or Shanghai? Because if you wanted to celebrate the holidays in Disneyland, you'd have to get to one of those places. Or you could hop on one of these cruises. Let's check them out. Welcome to This is the Cruise. I'm Clint, and this is the channel where we look at future cruise itineraries and try to figure out if this is the cruise for you. This is part 3 of my Disney Very Merry Time Holiday Christmas cruise itinerary reviews, particularly 2024. In part 1, we looked at Fort Lauderdale. In part 2, we looked at Galveston, Texas. In part 3, here, we're looking at Sydney and Auckland. In part 4, we're going to zip back to the United States and go to Port Canaveral, aka Orlando, aka the mothership or mother port, as it were. And then in part 5, I'm going to do a recap and look at all of the winning itineraries from each of these series in one go and pick the ultimate. If you could go anywhere in the world, where would you go? So today, we'll get started with Australia and Auckland. You know, when most people think of Disney, they're thinking of most likely Florida, possibly California. But I gotta believe that people in Australia like Disney too, and I think they like Christmas. Probably. As I've said in parts 1 and 2, no one really does the quality of entertainment like Disney. They just have it down. They're able to mix magic and wonder and create these experiences for all ages. From a cruising perspective, Disney is a premium cruise line. It is priced closer oftentimes to a luxury cruise line. But luxury cruise lines often don't let kids on the ships, and quite frankly, they don't do entertainment like Disney does. So what's our criteria here? Well, we are looking at Disney cruises in the 2024 holiday season, and to kind of make it easier for us to have a conversation, I picked December 20th through January 4th as kind of the range, though I might sneak a little earlier than the 20th, and we might go a little later than January 4th, depending, but really that's sort of when the bulk of holiday vacations are happening, whether you're celebrating Christmas or you're celebrating New Year's, or your kids have off, or your grandkids have off. That seemed to be a good window for us to work with here. So let's look at where these itineraries could go, though none of the itineraries go to all of these places, but at least we'll orient ourselves and get comfortable to where we are in the world and where we're going. And for me, this is really helpful because a lot of times I don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to places as exotic as Australia and New Zealand. I laugh because I know my friends from the cruisers that I have met in Alaska and in Europe and in the Caribbean from Australia or from New Zealand often think of my part of the world as being more exotic. It's just fascinating how that works, isn't it? All right, so let's take a look. Most of these cruises start in Sydney, and I'm not going to go into how incredible this city is, but Disney is just now starting to cruise from Disney, and with this upcoming schedule, I believe they're really pressing hard into the sort of South Pacific market. Some of the itineraries go to Eden, and I can only imagine that it is like the Garden of Eden. It looks beautiful to me, and I can't wait to visit someday. Other itineraries actually go to, is it Hobart or Hobart, Tasmania? I mean, again, I can't wrap my head around how cool it would be to go to some of these places. There's an itinerary we're going to look at that actually starts in Auckland, bucket list place for me to get to. And then finally, I know I'm going to get this wrong, so let me know in the comments below how I should have pronounced it, but I'm going to call it Noumea in New Caledonia. Forgive the pronunciation. So help me out. If you have cruised to any of these locations, which one was your favorite? And then let me know in the comments below what you did there and what made it your favorite. I can't wait to hear. All right, so let's dive into the itineraries. There is a 3-night itinerary that starts December 21st, goes to December 24th on the Disney Wonder. It leaves from Sydney, goes to Eden, and then you have a sea day coming back to Sydney. A nice little 3-day getaway right up to Christmas Eve. What a great way to kick off Christmas. You get back. In Australia, do you guys celebrate Christmas on the 24th or do you celebrate on the 25th? I know some places celebrate on the 24th, so let me know. So for Clint's cruisability score, we start with variety, and this itinerary gets a score of 0.5 point out of 10. Unfortunately, we only go to one country and it's 1 stop and 1 sea day. That's not the ratio we're looking for here, which is unfortunate, but that's okay. The timing's great, and like I said, it's Disney from Sydney, right? A repeatability score of 4 out of 10, an adventure score of 5 out of 10, an enrichment score of 5.5 out of 10, and a relaxation score of 5.5 out of 10. This ship, the Disney Wonder, gets a cruise critic score of 4, so we'll give some bonus points for that. And then it doesn't have a novelty bonus to it. So this gives our total score for this itinerary of 24.5. The next itinerary that we're going to look at is a 4-night. It's the 4-night Disney Magic at Sea from Auckland, and it ends in Sydney. So this is a one-way. You get on the ship in Auckland, it almost feels like a repositioning cruise, and then you have 3 sea days across to Sydney. This cruise unfortunately gets a variety score of 0. It just can't carry it because there's really no stops. A repeatability, however, based on where we're starting and where we're ending, of 7. An adventure score of 7, and an enrichment score of 7.5, because there's so much to do in Auckland and so much to do in Sydney that just you want to go to those places. A relaxation score of 4.5. Again, we can relax in either our starting or ending place. And then the ship score for the Disney Wonder of 4. That gives us a total score of 30, which is interesting. You can see if you compare it to the 3-day, which just begins and ends in Sydney, that Auckland in of itself really lifts the score up and is carrying a lot of that, is adding a lot to this score. But again, not a bad way to celebrate the holidays, right? We have another 4-day that leaves on December 24th. Cruise is over Christmas. It's the 4-night Disney Magic at Sea from Sydney itinerary. It's on the Disney Wonder. All of these will be on the Disney Wonder. It leaves from Sydney. You have a sea day. You go to Hobart, Australia, and I don't know if it's Hobart or Hobart, forgive the accent. Then you have a sea day coming back. So an okay itinerary there. We have a variety score again of 1, which is fine. I mean, Hobart, it looks like a wonderful place to visit, but we just don't get a lot of variety here. And then we have 1 too many sea days. Again, it kind of knocks the score down a little bit. For repeatability though, a 7.5, an adventure score of 7.5, an enrichment score of 7, and a relaxation score of 4.5. The ship gets a bonus score from Cruise Critic of 4. So that gives us a total score of 31. This is looking like the best one so far, if you're asking me. Let's see what else may be out there. Okay, so we now do actually have a 6-night itinerary. It's the 6-night Disney Magic at Sea from Sydney. This one leaves December 28th, so it doesn't fall within their very merry time date range, but it is still kind of in the holiday season, so we're including it here. You leave from Sydney, have 2 sea days as you go to the New Caledonia stop, and then you have 2 sea days to get you back. Unfortunately, I mean, we're going to another country again, so this gets us a point for that. We start out with 2 points, but we have too many sea days, so it really knocks it down. For Clint's cruisability score for variety, we only get 0.5 point again. Repeatability of 4.5, adventure of 6.5, enrichment of 5.5, with a relaxation score of 6.5 and the ship score of 4, according to Cruise Critic, which gives us a 27.5 total. Okay, so which one is it? Which one is the cruise? Well, I have to go with that 4-night Disney Magic at Sea cruise from Sydney. It's over Christmas, which I love that idea of celebrating at sea. We start out in Sydney, then we have a sea day on Christmas Day, go to Hobart and go to Australia. You know, none of these itineraries, unfortunately, visit multiple destinations. It's just what the itineraries that Disney has put together, but I thought you should know. If you want to cruise Disney, however, if Disney is the goal, not the holidays, you really are better off cruising outside of the holiday season. There's more options and also the cost is significantly less. But if you want to do a holiday cruise and you want to either do it from Sydney or Auckland, but really of these four we looked at, the one from Sydney is the best, and that's the one that I recommend. So thank you so much for watching. Make sure to check out part 1s and part 2, and then make sure you've liked and subscribed. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss part 4, and then part 5 as well. That will recap the whole Disney cruise itinerary, merry time, all the things. All right, so what do you think? Is a Disney cruise from Sydney the cruise for you? Let me know in the comments, and I look forward to seeing you next time.